we're going to bring in one of our guests. And, he's someone that played here in Vancouver. He's also played for the Anaheim Ducks, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Nashville Predators, Colorado Avalanche, Calgary Flames, and Florida Panthers, co-host of the Missing Curfew podcast. Your friend and mine, Mr. Shane O'Brien. Obes, how's it going?
Fellas, how we doing? Thanks for having me. Your setup looks good. Hopefully I sound good. I haven't broke the computer out in a while, so hopefully I sound nice and clear for you fellas.
You sound and look great. Shane, the talk around the league, and especially in these parts, have been about Elias Pettersson. If you are the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks, how much are you paying Elias Pettersson?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably everything he wants, right? Yeah. I mean, you want to lock this guy down. To me, this year, right from the start of training camp, I don't know, there was a picture of him where he had kind of a beard and he was in his gitch and his shoulders looked bigger and he looked like he had a chest on him and he hadn't shaved for a bit. And I'm like, this guy, he's looking like he's turned into a man. And he was so young when he came over here that I think when these young players come over, we just expect them to already grow into their body and be mature. And anyways, he looks great. If I'm him, though, and I've never been in a situation where I'm getting that big of a contract, you want to make a deal that works for the Canucks as well, right? They're heading in the right direction. They're way ahead of what everyone thought they would be. Yeah, you want to get your money, but also think big picture, and I hope he does that.
You obviously played here. From a player's perspective, how much of the media noise do the players here, especially now that we're in a social media age, how much of an impact do you think that has on players' performance and what they hear and their overall sort of presence and how they feel about playing the market?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I was talking to Updog this week about it. Like with social media now, it's like, it doesn't matter really where you play, right? We saw what happened with Patrick Laine in Columbus, where some guys were doing a podcast and it got online and he got wind of it and obviously wasn't happy about what was being said. So I think it's not like it used to be even when I played there, when X was just coming out and there wasn't Instagram yet. And I think there's media attention everywhere now. I don't think you can hide. Doesn't matter if you're playing in Columbus or Van City or Toronto. Now there is more, media guys in Edmonton and Vancouver, Toronto, Canadian cities. But listen, the media was always great with me. When you're winning in Vancouver, there's no better city in the world right now. I guarantee if you ask JT Miller, Pettersson, Besser, when they go out for dinner, when they're going to have a drink, life is unbelievable for those guys. So when you win in Van City, the media is great. When you don't play well, you're going to hear about it. And when you're making big bucks or any kind of money in the NHL, I think that comes with the territory.
When you look at this market and, they haven't had a home playoff game in quite some time, Shane. I mean, obviously you've played here and you know the way that the team operates and the way the city can galvanize behind the Vancouver Canucks. From a player's perspective, obviously looking at it, how much fun are these guys having and are about to have going into the playoffs?
Galvanize. Nice word, buddy.
I might
have to steal that one from you. Don't ask me how to spell that, by the way. But no, fella, it's the best time of year in Vancouver, man. My 2 years there, when it got to April, you boys know more than anything, right? It stops raining, the sun starts coming out. You can see Kitts Beach over there. It's nice. The Yellowtown's buzzing. Harbor Bay is starting to buzz a little bit. And then you see the flags on the cars around the city and people wearing Canucks jerseys and people leaving the office and throwing their Canucks jersey on. There's no better feeling. I mean, driving to the rink back in the day, it was GM Place back then, and seeing the Canucks fans out and knowing you got a home game that night on a Saturday or whatever night it is, it's so special. Listen, the barn's starting to rock again. I watch a lot of Canucks games. I don't miss many. My boy Tox is behind the bench. You boys know I love this city. It is so good to see what is going on right now, and it's only going to get better. And I'll be up there for a game, boys. I'm coming up. I don't know how I'm going to get tickets. Nobody I know there is anymore. Tox doesn't have enough tickets, he's already saying. So it's going to be unbelievable, and I can't wait to see those white towels buzzing.
JT Miller's having a monster season, but has been especially dominant since the All-Star break. He's sixth in the league for points right now. Do you think he's one of the more underrated stars in the NHL right now?
I do. And, I'm not a sensitive guy, but I would like some apologies from Vancouver when I was all over Bor Horvat and people were like, "Oh, you're fat, you idiot, you don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, listen, JT Miller, I knew from day one that this guy had that passion. And a lot of times when things weren't going well, when my boy Greener was there and then Boudreau came in, I get it. The way JT Miller looked at times, he looked like he could be maybe selfish or going over the line with his emotions, but you need guys like that. I'm not saying you need a whole team of JT Millers, but especially for that team in Vancouver, you need a guy that brings that energy. I mean, last game against Pittsburgh, boys, he was everywhere. I mean, he on that PK, he was literally everywhere. Sid and the boys found a way to beat him, but I love JT Miller. I would take him on my team any day of the week. And when that game 1 starts of the quarterfinals, he's going to be even better. Mark my words. He's going to be buzzing.
Shane, when you look at this team, obviously they're first in the standings. They're leading their division by an absolute mile. What is one thing that you would want to see if they're able to do to be able to add? Is it one of those, is it a depth defenseman, or is it hopefully someone to add to your top 6 if you can make it work?
Yeah, I think every team, listen, you boys know, you can never have enough depth on your back end come playoff time. I think if they can add a veteran guy, my biggest concern about the Vancouver Canucks, fellas, and I'm sitting here, with no Stanley Cup rings myself, is they don't have anybody in there that's been in the fight. And listen, when that puck drops in game 1 of the quarterfinals, it is different. You can only, it's hard to describe unless you play in a Stanley Cup playoff game. It's completely different. I loved it. I thought I was better in playoff games than regular season games. So if they can get some experience, my man, is what I'm saying. I think they need to get some guys that have won. I saw Phil the Thrill was skating in Abbotsford. I don't know what's going on with Phil.
Still is. All
right. I know. I've been in the fat club too, Phil. I know how you're feeling, buddy. Get the salads in you. But I just think they need some experience up front and on the back end.
Overall, you're obviously well connected around the league. Whether it's players, coaches, other sort of national media, what's the perception of Vancouver right now in terms of not just the regular season, because I think everybody can see the standings, but in terms of actually going into the playoffs? Do people view the Canucks as legit cup contenders?
It's a great question. You got to respect them because of where they are in the standings, right? I think if you went around the league, and this is just some guys I play with that are scouting, some guys that are, working for some teams now, experience and playoff, experience is one of the things that I think teams around the league look at Vancouver and say, hey, they don't have guys that have been there before, right? Pettersson, Hughes never played a playoff game. Thatcher Demko's never played a playoff game, stuff like that. But listen, Thatcher Demko, the way he's kicking right now, I mean, he's been unbelievable. I haven't loved Rick Tocchet's such a smart guy, boys. And I've got to know Talk since I've retired, and he's such a beauty, but I haven't loved the way that they've played defensively lately after the All-Star break and has crept into their game. Like, they gave up 10 goals against the Minnesota Wild, and I love Billy G, and I love what they're building there, but you're not playing Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. To give up 10 to them, I think was reason for concern. I didn't love their game against Pitt. I think they got to tighten it up defensively, and if they do that, they're as good as anybody.
Shane, you're as good as anybody when you get to do this, and we can have you on the show. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the run, and hopefully we'll see you when you make your return to Vancouver.
I'll hit you up if I come, buddy. But if anyone's got some tickets for playoffs, let me know.
All right, thanks. That's Shane O'Brien from Missing Curfew, co-host of the Missing Curfew podcast, and looking for tickets for Canucks playoff games when he gets down here.
Canucks Conversation with Harmon and Quads every weekday at 2 p.m. Be sure to check it out on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. And if you missed it, go check it out on your favorite podcast catcher app.